the most of your Walt Disney World vacation.
The top 6 things to love about Enchanted Tales with Belle. Hi, I'm Herb Leibacher, and welcome to episode number 117 of the World of Walt podcast. Make the most of your Walt Disney World vacation for the week of May 21st, 2017. This is the podcast for Walt Disney World fans, whether you're planning your next trip or just enjoy reliving a little bit of Disney magic. It seems like only yesterday, but Disney created a new era of meet and greets and took interactive experiences to a whole new level when they opened Enchanted Tales with Belle back in December of 2012. It can be a little bit easy to miss this new Fantasyland attraction in the Magic Kingdom. After all, Maurice's workshop just doesn't stand out like a mountain, but it's still definitely worth seeing. So today we're going to talk about the top 6 things to love about Enchanted Tales with Belle. To help me explore this topic, I'd like to welcome a guy who can belt out a rendition of Tale as Old as Time with the best of them, Russ Reeves. Russ, welcome back.
Thank you, Herb. I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. I want it more than I can tell.
There you go. I
look forward.
I knew you could do this.
I look forward to talking about these Enchanted Tales and the best things about them.
Enchanted Tales with Belle. It's a hidden gem, I think, in the Magic Kingdom. A great attraction to talk about. But before we do that, today's warm-up question. What's your favorite thing about the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, also belovedly known as the People Mover?
My favorite thing about the People Mover is the People Mover. I love everything about the People Mover, and there's nothing about it that I don't love. But I think if I had to just say one particular thing about it, it is, I think, one of the most relaxing things that you can do in any Disney park anywhere. I love it in the middle of a day when you need a break and need a rest, or at the end of the day just to enjoy the evening, seeing the lights and the scenery. Whenever you get on it, it's just a very relaxing, soothing, comfortable ride. And so it is one of my favorite attractions to this day, has been for all my life. So I like it all.
That's good. I think that's a great reason to love it. It really is relaxing. You normally don't have to wait a long time. You get a little breeze, you get a little air conditioning, you get some views, you get a chance to sit down for a while. So all great relaxing points. Yeah,
and it's a decent length attraction too. I mean, you're on there for a pretty good while, and you get great views of Tomorrowland and great views of the castle. I love to try to time it out where I'm on it during fireworks at night. You come around and see the castle with fireworks going off, from the People Mover. That's spectacular.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid and I refused to ride thrill rides, I always kind of felt a sense of achievement that I had been through a portion of the Space Mountain building, at least, when I got off of the People Mover, So, yeah. The last time I was on it, I got to see Space Mountain with the lights on. That was pretty cool.
That is fun. It doesn't happen that often, but I've had that too, and I got my camera out and did my best to take pictures. And now I always keep my hands, legs, arms, and feet inside the Space Mountain vehicle at all times, because it is amazing that people come out of that ride with their head still attached.
I know it does. You definitely see what the attraction is to riding it with the lights off, because I don't think you would want to ride it with the lights on.
Yeah.
It would be terrifying.
Yes. Yeah. If they ever want to take Space Mountain up a notch, they just need to turn the lights on and send you through. So.
That's right. That's right.
So People Mover, I agree. I like so many things about it. If I had to pick one, though, it might be the fact that you get to see Progress City, which is the huge model of what some of the original ideas for Epcot were, complete with skyscraper in the middle. And what I've heard about that model is it's just a fraction of what the actual model was. And it's huge, even with the piece that we get to see. And I like the fact that there are lights and there's a little not a carousel, but some sort of an attraction that sort of moves on it. And there are churches and there are cars and there are trams and lights in the building. It's just amazing the amount of detail and time that was put into that, but also just what it represents, which was this idea of trying to build an actual city. And we got Celebration in the end. We didn't quite get Progress City with a big skyscraper. But just the history of it and the beauty of the model itself, I think, are a great piece of being on the People Mover. I
love that too. It's just such a great piece of Disney history, and like you said, it's just a small piece of what the whole was. If you do like an image search online, you can find pictures of Imagineers standing in the middle of this gigantic model. Yeah. So most of that's lost now, but you still have that one well-preserved glimpse of it going through there. And it is fascinating. It's fascinating to know, it's as great as Epcot is, and I love Epcot. It's nothing remotely similar to what Walt's idea for Epcot was.
Right.
And, it represents, and that's why when it opened, it was called Epcot Center, because it was not supposed to be Epcot. It was just the center of what, the idea of what Epcot could be. Right. But, so when I look at that, I think about, what could have been, and who knows, maybe what will be one day. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know. So I normally try to stick to just one thing on the warm-up question, but I've got to sneak in what might be one of my all-time favorite hidden Mickeys on the People Mover. When you go by the lady getting her hair done, and if you kind of turn around a little bit and you look at her belt buckle, there's a Mickey on it. One of the best hidden Mickeys in all of the Magic Kingdom, I think.
Well, you got to be paying pretty good attention to catch that one.
Yeah, because you won't see it if you're
it would be
looking
easy
ahead.
To miss.
Yeah, you can't really see it if you're looking ahead. You kind of have to look behind you a little bit, and it only appears for a fraction of a second. So it's one of those neat ones that someone spent some time thinking about, and 99% of the people will miss it, but it's a little gem for those who do take it in.
Yeah, I love those ones that, they were put there with intentionality. I think sometimes what we call a hidden Mickey is just the accidental occurrence of three circles together.
Yeah.
But then you do find those ones that were intentionally put there as an attraction detail, or as a feature, and I love seeing those.
Yeah, those are a lot of fun. Okay, so top 6 things to love about Enchanted Tales with Belle, and Russ, we're over to you for number 1.
Okay, so for number 1, I just kind of want to zoom out and look at the whole area there, because I think the theming of this entire area of New Fantasyland is really spectacular. New Fantasyland doesn't represent one film franchise or one character property. There's a variety to it. You've got some Little Mermaid features there. You've got Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs there, but I think there's this cohesive theme here around much of New Fantasyland, with Gaston's Tavern and Be Our Guest and the castle up on the top of the cliff there, and Bonjour Village Gifts and Enchanted Tales with Belle. So it's one of the only places I know of in Walt Disney World where you can move seamlessly through several locations that all share the same context. And I think it makes Beauty and the Beast probably the most well-represented franchise in any Disney park. I don't know. I can't think of anything else that has like 4 things tied to it in such a small space. Can you?
No, and that's actually a really good point. I can't think of anything that's got so much space, or maybe a large number of facades and buildings for a certain theme. So that's a really good point.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're a Peter Pan fan, you can go into Fantasyland and you go into the Peter Pan attraction, and you come out of the Peter Pan attraction, and you're done with Peter Pan. But if you're a Beauty and the Beast fan, you have this entire village that you can just get immersed in, and it's really quite spectacular. The theming is very beautiful. It's meticulous, and if it weren't 900 degrees in Central Florida most of the year, you could envision yourself strolling through Belle's village as you move from place to place there within that little area of New Fantasyland.
Yeah, this is a great point, and I agree that you just don't see that many different places connected with one theme. So yeah, really good call, Russ. It's a good one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, theming of the entire area was number 1. So number 2, I'm going to maybe take the flip side of the coin, and I'm going to talk about all the little details that are built into Enchanted Tales with Belle, and something in the decoration and the theming, I think. So when you first enter Belle's home, you see things that you would see in someone's home. You can see her favorite books on the table. You can see lines drawn on the wall that show how Belle grew each year. You can see a painting of Belle and her mother, which I think is an interesting addition because I don't believe was really covered in the movie, the original animated movie. And then when you move into Maurice's workshop, you see all the gadgets on the floor and just all the tools that he would use to make his crazy inventions. And then when you finally move into the library, you see all the books on the shelves. So I think there were a tremendous number of details that were put in this attraction that really just make it a lot of fun and very repeatable, because each time you go back, you can see something different that you missed the prior time.
Yeah, it's, what you're mentioning here is sort of, compared to mine, it's sort of like the micro look at it, because in the detailing and the theming is exquisite in both directions. So from the grand theming of the whole area down to the most minute detail in the cottage itself, it's all so well done. And like you said, there's something new to observe every time you go through it. It's almost like when you're looking at one of those pictures where you're looking for hidden objects. That's kind of the way I feel when I'm in it, because I feel like everywhere I look, there's probably something that should command my attention. And something that's a little detail or a nod to the story, or to a character in the film, and so it's really so immersive to just go in there and see all that. I love the painting of Belle and her mother. I love the books. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. And you'll see a different angle of things depending on where you happen to stop and where the queue is kind of moving and stopping. So, where you filter into the workshop, you're going to see something different than someone on the other side of the room. Whether you stop in the doorway to the cottage or more towards the back end of it, you're going to see something different. So it's fun to take in all the different items.
It is. It really is. And it's fun also to watch people's reactions when they find things. It's always fun, especially to watch a child discover some little detail there for the first time. And so, it's fun to see those things, and it's fun to see other people seeing them. Yeah,
agree. Okay, number 2 is little details. Number 3, Russ, back over to you.
Well, for my next one, I'm going to say the mirror. And if you have never been through this attraction, then you probably wonder what could be so special about a mirror. But if you have been through this attraction, then this is probably on your list of favorite things too. This mirror is one of the most mind-blowing Imagineering innovations I've ever seen. I can't name a single element of any attraction that can rival the mirror in Enchanted Tales with Belle. So if you're not familiar with it, here's what happens. You're making your way through Belle's house, and you come to this mirror hanging on a wall. It's a couple of feet wide, maybe 3 feet tall or so. And on cue from the cast member who's guiding you through, the mirror begins to sparkle, and there's some visual effects, and the lights sort of dim, and the mirror begins to grow. And you're thinking, okay, well, this is some pretty good projection effects, but the mirror actually turns into a door that you walk through into the next area of the attraction. And I cannot figure out how this works. I've gone through it. I've looked at it from both sides. I've watched a video on it. And the conclusion that I've come to is I don't want to figure it out. I'm happy to have my mind boggled by this mirror. In my opinion, even if you have no interest whatsoever in Beauty and the Beast, if you don't want to go through Enchanted Tales with Belle, this mirror makes the attraction worthwhile for everyone going to Magic Kingdom. I had heard before I went through this attraction that Enchanted Tales with Belle was mostly for smaller kids. My kids are a little older, and some of the things, can be a little juvenile for them. And so I had resisted going through this, but we had a cast member stop us and say, hey, we're getting ready to start. There's no wait. You just walk right in. And we said, okay, well, let's at least go see what it's like. And I was just blown away by the entire attraction, really, but the mirror above everything else. This is the most amazing thing I think I've ever seen on Disney property in terms of an Imagineering effect.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had a conversation a while back about some of those effects where you say, my eyes just can hardly conceive of what is coming at me. And so one thing for me in the past, decade of Disney fun has been the drone show at Disney Springs, seeing these lights move through the sky. But I would say this is probably the other, where it's like my eyes have never beheld something happening like this, where a mirror on the wall where you can see your reflection in it turns into a doorway that you then walk through. It is just mind-boggling. I think that's a great description for it. So even if you don't care about seeing Belle and you're not so hip about Maurice's workshop, go and check out the Magic Mirror. You will be awed by it. It is worth seeing the attraction just for that effect.
Absolutely. I just can't think of another element of any other attraction that is as mind-blowing as this is.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
I tried to, because I didn't want to say that about it. I wanted to say it's almost as spectacular as something else, but it's not, because it is so much more spectacular than anything else I think I've ever seen in any theme park attraction.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I hope that whoever put that together got a little bonus in their paycheck, because they did an amazing job.
Oh, boy, yeah, for sure.
Yep, Magic Mirror, definitely worth seeing just for that. Okay, good. That was number 3. So number 4. For me, I'm going to say one of the next things that I really love about Enchanted Tales with Belle are the animatronics, and there are 2 specifically. So one is Madame Wardrobe, who is a huge animatronic, and the cast member actually opens up the drawer or the doors and pulls out some things, which we're going to talk about later. But there's a movement in the face. I think it uses projection effects and maybe some sort of, latex skin-like stuff. But the effect is really stunning on Madame Wardrobe, and it's a huge animatronic that you were very close to. And then when you are actually in the library with Belle, Lumiere, I think his animatronic is amazing, in part because he's so small, and yet there's his face moving and his arms are waving, and the cast member is interacting, or Belle is interacting with Lumiere. I think both of those animatronics really broke new ground in what Disney does and what you would think of in a traditional animatronic, because of size or because of how close it is to you. I think it's another one where even if you don't care about the character, if you're not into meet and greets, go check it out for the animatronics.
I think you're exactly right. In fact, this almost made it onto my list because I love these animatronic figures so much. These are not figures that sort of pay homage to characters in the film. These are the characters from the film.
Yeah.
They're identical. I mean, when I first saw the wardrobe, it took my breath away, because this looks like it just walked right off of the animation cell into this attraction. And Lumiere is spectacular. I think he's very convincing. His movements are very natural. His facial gestures, I don't know how they can do robotics on that scale. And I think the scale is important because, he is the right size compared to Belle and to you as a visitor to the library there. He's the right size for what he would be, if the film were real life. I know last November we ran in the Run Disney Wine and Dine Half Marathon, and when we went to register and get our materials at the expo, they had a stand-up walk-around character of Lumiere that you could get, your picture made with, and that's a rare character to have a photo op with, and so we of course got the picture, but he's so large.
Mm-hmm.
He's like 9 feet tall, and so you're thinking, either I've been miniaturized here or something very grotesquely wrong has happened to Lumiere. But he's just right in Enchanted Tales with Belle. He's exactly the way you want to see him, because he's exactly the way he's. And I mean, let's be honest. I think for many people, Lumiere is their favorite character of the film. It's certainly true for me, and I think it's true for a lot of people. Yeah. And this is exactly how you want to meet him. It's just like this. So I think you're spot on with this. That those animatronics, particularly those two, are so worth going through the attraction.
Yeah, they really did a great job, and I think each in its own way is very special and worth checking out. Okay, that was number 4. So back to you, Russ, number 5.
So kind of piggybacking on that is really just the uniqueness of this attraction as a character meet and greet. This attraction really breaks the mold on what a character meet and greet can be and maybe should be. My history in the parks goes way back, and I remember you'd walk down Main Street, and Mickey would come up and give you a hug, and Tigger would be walking through Adventureland, and you could grab his tail and walk along with him, and that doesn't happen anymore. The place is just too crowded. The characters get overwhelmed, and so nowadays you have to have a long line or a fast pass, and it's not just walking up and giving a quick high five and taking a quick picture. Now it's this whole encounter with all these. It's like going to Olin Mills for a photo shoot or something. So you can plan your whole day now around character meetup times. But what I love about Enchanted Tales with Belle is that it goes a long way in really revolutionizing what a character meet and greet can and should be. Because really you're not waiting in line for a character meet. The attraction is the line for the character meet. So instead of dumping you out into a gift shop at the end, it dumps you out into Belle's, sitting there waiting for you to get your picture made with her after you watch the show. So you have the attraction of walking through the cottage. You have the show that you sit down and watch or maybe even participate in. And then at the end, you have this great meet and greet with Belle, and Lumiere is there in the back, and you get your photos done and your autographs and your autograph book and all that. So to me, this is great because you don't feel like you're wasting half a day waiting to meet a character. It's part and parcel of the entire attraction experience.
Yeah, I think Disney really did change the idea of what a character meet and greet can be. So instead of saying, how do we put shade over this line that you stand in and wait until you have your minute and a half with Belle, what if we turn it into something completely different so that you get to experience the cottage and the workshop and a story. So I think it's just redefined what the concept of this can be. And I hope it's the start of something more to come in the future. I can't say.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, I can't say that I know of any other meet and greet experiences that are sort of at this level, even ones that they've added since. So characters from Inside Out or whatever, it's still kind of the same old meet and greet. You wait in a line and then you get a hug and a picture and off you go. And so I hope that we will see more of this in the future.
I think the closest thing that comes to my mind to it is the new Anna and Elsa meet and greet at Epcot. Because you have this immaculately themed area that you're walking through, and there's as many details to observe in that, what do they call that, the summer house? Yeah. There's as many details to observe there as there are in Belle's cottage. The only thing you're lacking is the show. So you walk through, you observe all the details and everything, and then you go in, and there is a long sort of interaction. It almost is a show as you interact with the princesses there, first one and then the other. So that's close. It's close. They've gone a long way in making it feel less like you're just standing there doing nothing, waiting in line to meet a character.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. So this I think definitely belongs on the list, the uniqueness of the character meet. And actually, I'm going to build on that for the last item, number 6, and I'm going to talk about the interactive nature of this attraction. So Disney has been for a long time working to make the parks more interactive, and you see it all over. You see it in the queues now in the Haunted Mansion, so you can press a book and something pops out, or you can speak to the dearly departed. You see it in things like Monsters, Inc., where you can text in a joke, or you see it in Buzz Lightyear, where you can sort of shoot things. But I think this has taken the concept of interactive to a different level. And I'm sure it's something that Disney has to balance very carefully, because some guests, I think, want to be a part of the show, and they want to have a way to be one of the characters or be something more than just an observer. And yet I think there are other people who would be horrified at the fact that they have to stand up in front of anybody and do anything. And so there's this balancing act, or this, choose your own level of interactivity, that I think Disney needs to meet. And I think Enchanted Tales with Belle does it brilliantly. So when you are in with the wardrobe, the cast member will ask, so does someone want to be the Beast? Does someone want to be Maurice and Philippe and Mrs. Potts? And you have your little line and you have your steps to do, or, the little kid makes the Beast roar. And I think it's great in that people can participate if they want to and as much as they want to, and everyone has a shot, but no one has to. And that's a lot to ask of an attraction where, you still have to shuttle 1,000 people through an hour or whatever it is, and make it entertaining and interesting. So the fact that they have done all of this and thought through all of it, I think is just, it makes Enchanted Tales with Belle still in a class of its own when it comes to attractions generally, and especially when it comes to meet and greets. Absolutely.
I can remember the feeling of horror that I got the first time I went through it. And they say, we're going to use some of our guests as participants in the show. I remember thinking, where is the fire exit? Because I want out.
Yep. Yeah.
And I could tell there were a lot of others that had the same feeling, and so, but then, they make it clear, you don't have to do this. If you want to, you can. And almost everybody, I think, in my party has usually, who wanted to, has usually been able to take part in it at whatever level. But, it's nice to sit back and watch the show, and it doesn't really matter that this guy has never been a knight before, and that this is really not the Beast. You still get the same story, and everything, everything works out great. And for me, honestly, I just love sitting in that room. It's just such a beautifully themed room, the library where the show takes place. I could sit in there all day and just enjoy that room.
Yeah. Yeah. And people aren't forced to do anything. I think anybody who wants a part can get one. I think in Madame Wardrobe, there are probably a dozen extra plates if someone really wants to have a part and they hadn't gotten one yet. You could be a salt shaker if you want to. But if you have no interest in holding up the little placard in front of your face and marching around or whatever, you don't have to. Nobody's forced. So it's interesting that you've got the chance, but you've also got the chance to opt out, which I think is really important and not necessarily so easy to design into an attraction that's got to work operationally. So it's a very interesting angle.
Well, everything you've said about it is exactly why this is a great attraction. And I know you speak from experience, because I think that I've seen some photographic evidence that you played the role of a particular suit of armor in one of these productions, right?
I will admit that I have done that. I was somewhat drafted into it. But yes, I marched in place, and I learned my steps very well, and then I got out of there. So yes.
and I'm sure it was great fun too.
It was a lot of fun. Actually,
kind of like going to see Yeehaw Bob over at Port Orleans Riverside. You tell yourself, I'm not going to lay down on the floor and squirm around and do the gator. But before the night is over, you end up doing that, and you walk away saying, I had a great time doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people maybe like me, like, no, I don't want to do it. And then you get sort of drafted a little bit. Like, hey, that was fun. I didn't mind doing it.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a friend or a family member who drafted you, not a cast member, right?
The cast members sort of coerced me a little bit. There was no arm twisting, but it was a little bit of coercion, okay. I would say. It wasn't bad.
Okay, all right. Because we did just say that no one's pressured into doing this, so I just want to be clear.
Yeah, I think if you sort of cover your face and move to the back of the room and cower in the corner a little bit, they're not gonna force you. But sometimes people are encouraged, but not coerced. Good. All right, this was a good discussion about top 6 reasons to love Enchanted Tales with Belle. Number 1 is the theming of the area in New Fantasyland. Number 2 are the little details in the attraction itself. Number 3, the amazing magic mirror. Number 4, the animatronics. Number 5, the uniqueness of the character meet and the design of the line. And number 6, the interactive nature of the meet and greet. Russ, this was a fun conversation as always, and I appreciate your time talking about it.
Thank you. I always enjoy spending time talking to someone who uses antlers in all of their decorating.
Yes. Yes, we've made it through the list to the top 6 things to love about Enchanted Tales with Belle, but our conversation isn't over. I'd like to hear what you think about our list. Do you have a different idea or something you'd like to add? You can do that by visiting the show notes page at worldofwalt.com/117, a page that works well on your desktop, tablet, and smartphone. Leave your comments in the comments section and check out what other people think as well. I'd like to thank everyone who's been in touch with me, and I'd like to invite you to follow me on social media, facebook.com/worldofwalt and pinterest.com/worldofwalt. Also, if you like today's podcast, I would appreciate it if you would spread the word. Tell your friends and your family about it. To wrap up for today, as always, I would like to give you a heartfelt thank you for spending some of your time with me. I'd also like to thank everyone who visits the worldofwalt.com site. There you can read some interesting Disney articles and see what other people are saying in the comments sections. By listening here and by visiting the site, you allow me to share the fun of Disney with you. And that is very cool. Thank you for being a part of it. So until next time, my friend, may God bless you.
So there's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow shining at the end of every day. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, just a dream away.